Hey everybody, so today we are going to make a cute little birdie. I'm using Plush yarn for this tutorial in the color number 9, which is like a sky blue color. I'm using 5.5mm hook. To begin, you're going to make 6 single crochets in magic ring. So I'm using the chain 2 method. You can use whichever method you want. If you want to follow this method, you just have to make 2 chains, and into the very first chain you're gonna place 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can pull from the other side to make the opening tighter. That's my 5th single crochet and 1 more. Now our row 1 is complete. For our next round, we're gonna place 2 single crochets in each of those stitches. I'm placing 2 single crochets into the first stitch, into the second again 2 single crochets. Likewise, you're gonna do this 6 times. This is how it's gonna look like at the end of 2 rows, and you'll get a total stitch count of 12. Now let's make our third round. For that, into the first stitch you're gonna place 1 single crochet. Into the second stitch you're gonna place 2 single crochets. Now placing 2 single crochets into the same is known as an increase. So you're gonna place again into the third stitch 1 single crochet, and into the fourth 2 single crochets. You're gonna repeat this until you reach the end of the row. By the end of 3 rows, you're gonna have 18 stitches, and this is how your work should look like. For the next 4 rows, you're just going to place single crochets around. So by the end of each row, you'll have 18 stitches. You're just placing single crochets around. And remember to mark your first stitch. I have not marked my first stitch because I can remember my first stitch. But if you are a complete beginner, you should mark your first stitch using a stitch marker or another color yarn or a bobby pin. After 4 more rows of just placing single crochets, this is what your work should look like. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 rows. 4 rows of just placing single crochets, and we are at our 7th row. So for our 8th row, this is the pattern that we are going to follow. So first make 8 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and I'm marking my first stitch here. 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So after 8 single crochets, into the 9th stitch you're going to place 2 single crochets. You're going to make an increase. Into the 10th again 2 single crochets. Next, place 8 more single crochets and you'll reach the end of the row. By the end of this row, you will have a total stitch count of 20. These are the 2 increases that we did. So we increased the total stitch count by 2 stitches. The previous row it was 18 and now it's 20. For our next row, we're gonna make 7 single crochets. Let me mark my first stitch and make 7 single crochets. After 7 single crochets, we're gonna make an increase. So place 2 single crochets into the next, and then you're gonna make 4 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Into the next, place 2 single crochets, and then until you reach the end of the row, just place single crochets. So you'll be placing 7 more single crochets. If you want to cross check the total stitch count, now you will be having a total stitch count of 22 by the end of this row. Let's move on to our next row. You're gonna make 10 single crochets. That was my third single crochet, and I'm gonna mark my first stitch. So I've made 3 single crochets. I have to make 7 more single crochets. Okay, and into the 11th you're gonna place 2 single crochets. So after 10 single crochets you're gonna do an increase, and next again you're gonna place 2 single crochets, another increase. After that, keep on making single crochets until you reach the end of that row. So altogether you'll be making another 10 more single crochets after the 2 increases, and by the end of this row you will be having 24 stitches. Okay, I just finished that row, and this is how my work looks like. So there is a little shape, and let me compare it with this little birdie I made using milk cotton yarn. It's the same pattern but different yarn and hook size. For the next round, you're just gonna place single crochets around. Since we are not doing any increases or decreases, by the end of this row you will be still having 24 stitches around. For the next round, place 1 single crochet into the first stitch. Into the second stitch, place a single crochet. Send your hook through the front loops of the next 2 stitches, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through. That is called as a decrease. Into the 5th, place a single crochet. Into the 6th, a single crochet, and make a decrease. Continue this until you reach the end. By the end, you will be left with 18 stitches. Okay, now is a good time to start filling it with polyfil. Once you're happy with the amount of polyfil inside, you're gonna continue your work. Into the first, place a single crochet. Go through the front loops of the next 2 and make a decrease. So the pattern is single crochet decrease. Do this for 6 times and you'll be left with 12 stitches. For the next, you're gonna just keep on making decreases. Make decreases for 6 times and you'll be left with just 6 stitches. With the help of a darning needle, we are going to sew the opening close. To do that, we are going to send our needle through the front loops of those remaining 6 stitches. Remember to send through the front loops only and then pull the strand back, and you will see that the opening is getting closed. To finish off your work, just send the excess yarn through your project and hide it. Okay guys, so the body of the birdie is complete. Actually the head and body both. Now it's time to make the wings, so you have to make 2 wings. For that you're gonna chain 2 into the first chain. You're gonna place 1 single crochet, another single crochet, and into the same chain you're gonna place a half double crochet, and finally you're gonna place a double crochet. That is 1 wing. You have to make 2. Now let's make the back tail. For that you're gonna make a slip knot and chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Into the second chain from the hook, you're gonna insert your hook, pull up the loop and pull all the way through. That means you're gonna make slip stitches. Into the next, again a slip stitch, and into the very first, place a slip stitch. That is 1 back tail feather, and we have to make 2 more, so again chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and into the second chain from the hook, place a slip stitch. Into the next, place a slip stitch. Into the next, again place a slip stitch. Two feathers are done. Now the last one, chain 4, and follow the same pattern, just make slip stitches. Okay, so I'm just completing my last slip stitch. The back tail is complete. Now I'm gonna leave enough yarn to sew it onto the body and cut the yarn. Now you have the 2 wings and the back tail with you. It's time to sew it to the body. I'm using a darning needle. Actually, I'm not sure whether it's called a darning needle or yarn needle. Earlier I used to have a steel one. If you have watched my previous tutorials, you might have seen it. Anyway, I received this plastic one recently and it's been very easy on my fingers. To attach the tail to the birdie's body, I'm going to position it approximately from below, count 4 or 5 rows upwards, and remember the shape. Like, I'm gonna center the back tail to that shape, the curve like shape. I hope you can remember it. It's the back of the birdies. To attach the wings, I'm gonna count about 7 to 8 column stitches and place the wings on either side, like in the same line of the back tail. I also wanted to add some birdie hair onto the top of his head. So for that I'm using milk cotton yarn here. You can use acrylic or whatever yarn you have, but I don't think using the plush yarn itself it's gonna be a good idea. It's not gonna be a good idea to use plush yarn. This is how I give the birdie hair, so you can follow the same way, or maybe there are other ways. It's probably a good idea to tie it first and then cut it off, because as you can see I'm struggling here. Few minutes later, I am done with the birdie's hair. Next, I'm gonna fix the eyes to the birdie. I'm using black half beads, but you can use safety eyes or felt. To sew the beak to the birdie, I'm using milk cotton yarn in the color yellow. So I'm gonna double the strand and just sew the beak like this. Again, you can use felt if you like, instead of sewing the beak onto the birdie. And our little birdie is complete. So, oops, this one I don't like it. Maybe I'll sew it to the back. Okay, and he's complete. Look at his little hair. He's so cute. I'm just pulling the strands here to make the hair a bit messy, so you can do it if you like. Okay, initially I didn't want to make this, but I felt like making a scarf. I'm using milk cotton yarn with the crochet hook 4mm, and I'm gonna make a green scarf to our little birdie. So for that I'm gonna chain Like, I'm gonna chain, I don't know how many chains. I just want to wrap it around its neck, or maybe his head. Just chain and check whether it's gonna be long enough. I think maybe 50 or 60 chains for me. Once you reach to the desired length of chains, you're gonna add in 2 more and then yarn over and insert your hook into the 3rd chain from the hook and place a half double crochet. Next, you're gonna just keep on placing half double crochets until you reach the end of this chain. Well, not the end, to the beginning of this chain. So you're gonna place half double crochets all the way. Okay, I'm doing my final half double crochets. I am at my very first chain, and into that you're gonna insert the hook and place the final half double crochet. After that you're gonna cut your yarn and pull it, finish off. Okay, now this is going to be my scarf. Let's wrap it around and see. Well, I think it would be better if it was a little bit longer, but this is also fine. Actually no, this length is fine. I also made it into a headband. Maybe he can wear it around as a headband or a scarf. You can also make it using acrylic or milk cotton yarn. Here you can see I have made another little birdie that was using milk cotton yarn. I hope you guys enjoy making this little birdie. You can adopt my plushies or shop for my patterns on my coffee store. You can always tag me on your makes on Instagram so that I can share it with the rest of the fluffies. I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.